The Atlantean alphabet. The Atlantean alphabet was a simple set of 5 symbols that comprised all that was known by our pre-diluvial ancestors the entire world over. But this universal language, based on silent telepathic communications, was lost soon after the flood, according to the religious myths, at the time of the confusion of the tongues. Did these ideograms originally appear within the imaginations of our most ancient predecessors because of modern-day ESP testing using these symbols? Could the tests have sunk deep enough into our modern component particles to reverse influence our ancient ancestors into higher self-awareness? Such speculation is worth dwelling on. The dot within a circle. The circle is black on white. The dot inside the circle is white on white. Thus, the circle is omnipresent, but the dot is occult. The dot is the singularity, or the ajna, the mind's eye. The circle then reflects the boundary of space, an infinite loop with an omnipresent origin. In this way, the dot is the line seen head-on, while the circle is the line in extension from the origin. The circle is the first human ideogram. Variations include concentric rings, representing the moon phases and planetary orbits, spirals, representing comets and galaxies, and labyrinthine motifs, representing complex civilization, when combined with the variegation of the cross. The circle represents 1, while the dot represents 0. 1 was known to all who were educated to this ideogram. However, the concept of none was reserved for only the medicine men and the chiefs to grasp. This remains an essential staggering in the natural curve of our average evolution as a species to this day. The cosmic monad, or circumpunct, was reflected early on in religious imagery in literature as the smoking plant, the bush that burned but was not consumed, which represented the tree of life, or the herb that had given us sentience. Thus, the most important meaning of the cosmonad is the pupil lens of the eye. The fly-flot swastika was the first symbol of the stem below the flower. It shows the mathematical process of addition even now, and forms the letter T at the start of the word two. The plus cross is a more direct design, hinting at the origin point of the plane space than even the plane circle, marking it at an oblique X as the crossroads. The cross represents the knowledge of solar precession, with the sun at the center of local space and the galaxy at the core of the local universe. The circle with the cross inside it is a symbol of Earth, and it is often called Malkuth, the Hebrew word for kingdom. The circle on its own, particularly the circumpunct, is a symbol of the sun, and when the sun is at the center of the cross, it is a symbol of solar precession, which can only be measured over periods of thousands of years, thus necessitating high science and high civilizations to preserve it. When the cross is depicted alone, it is a symbol of the galaxy, particularly when in the standard spiral of a yin-yang, a triskele, or a swastika. In this event, whether the arms and legs of the fly-flot reflect either a clockwise or counterclockwise rotation, indicates the hemisphere of the planet the galaxy is being viewed from. From above, the Milky Way galaxy follows a clockwise spiral. From the southern hemisphere, it will appear to be a counterclockwise spiral. The three rivers reflect the level of human development at which the flood occurred. We are told by the high levels of civilization that flourished following the flood of Mesopotamia in 6000 BC that the gods, the chiefs and shamans, had a much greater level of knowledge than the ordinary people at the time of the flood. According to different stories of the flood, this knowledge was lost when the gods died in the flood. The gods abandoned us and have left us their wisdom concealed in history. The gods are still alive and present now, teaching their ancient wisdom from a safely disincarnate distance. The three rivers also represent the fertile crescent between the Indus and Nile River, with the twin rivers of the Tigris and Euphrates in the middle between them. We are told by ancient artifacts from the last cave people era prior to the earliest super civilizations that the pregnant moon goddess reigned as the predominant religious icon, and that the waters of the flood were also understood to represent her menstrual blood, drawn like a psychic tide on the moon's gravitic net, and that only when this cycle stopped was a child to be expected to follow. The three squiggles also represent mathematical subtraction, not only by erosion in the form of the waves they represent symbolically, but also in the image itself, which measures not only three waves, but also three peak-to-trough wavelengths on each as well. Thus, the flood is a symbol of the Trinity, or the twin bars of the cross reunited with the circle in a 3-in-1, 1-in-3 symbol, yet concealing and only partially revealing the hidden and occluded secret of the central point of the circle representing 0. The squiggles thus symbolize the emanation or starfire or three mothers. The three squiggles also reflect the three pillars of democratic government: representative, judicial, and executive. The square in 2D, cube in 3D, and tesseract or hypercube in 4D are all symbols of time, the squaring or exponential doubling of the diameter of the plane circle. It is said that Aphrodite, Venus, sprang from the head of Zeus, Jupiter, and this can be seen to reflect the manner of the exponential expansion of the dot to the line to the square plane to the cube to the tesseract, etc. This reflects a higher dimension of measurement to start with than the circle, because the dot, the circle, the sphere, and torus measure the line seen from head on as a singularity, origin point, or dot, while the square's closest 1D component is the line seen from the side as a length. The duality of point and line is therefore reconciled in the three squiggle symbol between the cross and circle motif and the square symbol of exponents. The waves are simultaneously particles, circles, and waves, lines. The square therefore acts as the cornerstone measurement of society, measuring the perfect right angle, occurring nowhere in nature, reflecting humanity's ability to impose our ideals on nature. The square thus represents the symbol of man as perfect measure, as it is written in the religious history myths. We are made and created in the image and likeness of the one who made and created us. The box is also the antithetical symbol of the cross, such that when a cube unfolds and is flattened onto a plane, it becomes a Calvary cross of 6 squares. The swastika usually has 12, the Tao cross has 10, etc. Because the square extends into the cube over space and into the tesseract over time, another symbol for the box is the X or sideways cross, connecting the corners rather than the midpoints. The X and the T-shaped crosses overlap to form the eightfold middle way of Buddha Dharma, between the Four Noble Truths toward transcendence from reincarnation. This Wheel of the Lokas, with 8 spokes, is a common symbol of Buddhism. It is a combination of the square and circle symbols. Just as the square symbolizes exponential rather than the spherical collapse or right-angle radiative expansion of arithmetic patterns, it is indicative of multiplication or the addition of additions. The pentagram star then represents division or the subtraction of subtractions. Its variegating interior angles and outward stellations counterbalance 10 lines of the star with the 10 points between these lines to form an ideogram that reflects the utmost height of mental evolution and civil sciences imagined by the original ancient people codifying this alphabet. It represented the 5 fingers on each hand, which is common to all animals as well, but especially to man as a symbol for our supremacy over nature allowed by the human thumb. The 5th logo was the highest form of pre-diluvial theoretical science, but has been studied in secret since the time of Pythagoras. Thus, the ancients prior to Pythagoras all venerated the mysteries of the pentagram symbol. They noticed very early that 2 plus 3 equals 5, and that 2/3 is the golden ratio, which, if plotted on a line, can be repeated in a fractal to form a perfect pentagram. This shape was observed also in the sidereal rotations of the planet Venus, such that in the time it takes Earth to circle the Sun once, Venus has circled it 5 times. This correlation was made to describe the goddess Venus as the daughter of the moon goddess. However, this eon was not at that time believed to have occurred. Thus, Venus became associated with the crescent circle glyph, and both became associated with the lands of the Fertile Crescent. The Atlantean alphabet.